Good evening and welcome to another edition of Special Assignment. I'm your host, Ashraf Garda. Our role on this show is to expose wrongdoings because you, the public, has a right to know. But it's also our hope that these exposés inspire change in society. Tonight we broadcast follow-ups to 3 of the many stories in which we have tried to make a positive impact. All 3 are joined by common thematic threads: the importance of stable families, safe communities and societal responsibility in securing the healthy future of South Africa's youth and democracy. This report by Hazel Friedman.
In August this year, Special Assignment brought you Cape of Wars, the story of a community terrorized by escalating gang violence, with scores caught in the crossfire, like 8-year-old Junaid Mackenzie, who was gunned down in May. We also broadcast Over Her Head, the struggle by homeless, unemployed mothers like Hardia Williams to find secure shelter, and the efforts of NGOs to assist, despite an escalating funding crisis which threatens to shut them down. And we showcased some of the accomplishments of a world-first rehabilitation program in Pollsmoor Prison. As journalists, we try to make a difference, especially in the lives of those sometimes shortchanged by society, who trust us to publicize their personal struggles and achievements. Sometimes we do make an impact for the better, and sometimes not. The Cape Flats suburb of Lavender Hill is peaceful for now. But in other communities along the Cape Flats, the body count grows alarmingly from gang-related violence, and there have been fewer arrests and even fewer convictions of those responsible. In July this year, Police Minister Nathi Mthethwa and Police Commissioner Ria Pierre visited Junaid Mackenzie's family.
We were so surprised, you see, because we also a beetje nou bitter omdat die minister nou hier gewees het en daar was nou uitgevat van die saak. You know, nou voel ons miskien nou ook hulle gaan bereken aan, but there's no arrest.
Her frustration has been felt throughout the community.
I have asked the police before, why is it that, that they can't seem to get a handle on this. But I think it's a process. They're always talking about the fact that they're profiling people. And the question is, how long do you need to profile people when you are fully aware, of the existence of the people and the gangs, for years and years.
Police has failed our people. As soon as they reckon to us that we are the ears and the eyes in the community, as soon as we give information, within the next 10-20 minutes, the people at the house, are you informer?
But we are happy to report that shortly after our program on young victims of gang violence, the police offered a reward for information leading to the arrest and conviction of the suspects in Junaid's murder. Community members stepped forward, and on the 7th of September, 3 alleged gang members were arrested.
3 guys killing my innocent brother, and they feel nothing about it. They must go to jail. Don't want them outside.
The 3 suspects have already appeared twice in the Wynberg court. Their bail application has been set for the 4th of November. Junaid's sister Shamila has nothing but praise for the Steenberg police who made the arrest.
They're up to date, really, they're doing their job very good, very good.
On the 23rd of September, Junaid would have turned 9. The Mackenzie family commemorated his birthday with the neighborhood children and his school friends. It was a bitter, sweet day.
Ons was hartseer, joh. Ons allemaal was hier geweest. Al die kinders het ons dopgehou hier, as jy en sien nie. Dit sy foutes en hy het hulle gehou. Vir my het soos dit gevoel soos 'n droom. As jy waar nie. Wat nou voel ek mis hy leid hier regtig.
But scores of deaths remain unsolved, like that of 23-year-old Sean Roder and community activist Soraya Nordin. And to date, those responsible for shattering the spine of 2-year-old Jesslyn Sentamu have walked away scot-free. When we first met her, Hardia Williams' future and that of her unborn child seemed doomed. Orphaned at a young age, the 23-year-old had been evicted from the tiny apartment she shared with 7 others and was living on the streets with her boyfriend, washing cars or begging, living hand to mouth. She was in over her head.
Many of the young mothers, because a lot of them are in the 14 to 25 year age group, so many of those young mothers would have been mothered by young mothers. The guys getting into gangsterism, drugs, sex, it all goes together. And then there are a whole new generation of children that are abandoned or poorly cared for or have a suboptimal start to life.
Just weeks before the birth of her child, Hadia had resorted to squatting in the garage behind the apartment where she used to live. It had no electricity, was rat-infested, and winter was fast approaching. She knew she could not raise her child in these conditions.
That's my worst fear right now. Just the fact that they're taking my child away from me. So that's my main worry right now. And quite honestly, I don't know where to start, what to do.
But Special Assignment stepped in and referred her to St. Anne's, one of the few NGOs providing destitute mothers with a roof over their heads, childcare and employment possibilities.
They can stay with us for a period of 4 to 6 months in first stage, but when they leave, the exit plan is, there's no exit plan from government.
Before she was born, I really didn't actually care what happens to me. Now I can't wait to get on my feet, be stable, get a job, get a place of my own, start working and just giving her the best life she deserves.
Since we broadcast Hadia's plight, she and her boyfriend Chriswin have committed themselves to providing their daughter with the life they never had.
I had a job, contract for 2 months.
What were you doing?
I was cleaning at Standard Bank Centre in town from Monday to Friday, from 7 till 3:45, 4:30 sometimes.
And since leaving St. Anne's, she has secured a roof over baby Aziz's head in the very apartment from which she had been evicted. She had been raised here on Duval Drive by her grandmother, but after her death, the apartment had been occupied illegally by other family members. The Provincial Department of Human Settlements, which rents out the apartments to low-income families, had eventually evicted the illegal occupants, and Hadia and her brother had also been thrown out, but in error.
When we heard about her case, and knowing that she'd been raised in that apartment, she had a baby, she was willing to work if she had the opportunity. We really wanted to do the best we could to ensure that we could provide her with some kind of residence.
One morning, we'll never forget the day, of Wednesday morning, I was busy working, got a sudden call from my brother, told me I must come to housing department.
We recognized all she needed was opportunity. She'd been a victim of circumstance which were beyond her control. And we wanted to ensure that she could stay where she grew up, and she could have a decent house.
Oh, it was so amazing! I will never forget it. They told us that we've got the flat back, and we can move in whenever we want.
Now she lives there in security, raising a healthy, happy, and confident infant.
She's very stubborn. She likes going out. She's fussy, completely very fussy. And she likes talking. I think she's like a mother, very friendly.
But as with other young struggling mothers, the challenges ahead are huge. Hadia's job contract has ended, so she is again unemployed. Her boyfriend performs casual farm labour and is often out of town.
It's a bit tough because I'm still adapting to the whole motherhood. I guess she makes it easy for me. She's my world.
In a moment, awards and accolades. Yet a world-first prison rehab program still gets locked down.
I don't think so.
No. It's a risk, because you don't know if they'll do it again.
Once an ex-con, always an ex-con.
The public service commercial you just watched won 2 awards at the 2012 Loeries. It was won by Ogilvy Ad Agency, and it was a fitting tribute to the client, Prison Broadcasting Network, or PBN. This was the only prison rehabilitation program of its kind in the world. It trained offenders to produce television for offenders and provided them with specialized, employable skills on their release. But let's return to the beginning of what would become a 14-year odyssey for PBN founder and CEO Marius Bowden. It all began in 1998.
I expected to see all these hardened gangsters, that we're so used to seeing on our TV sets. And I discovered just normal human beings, the hurting individuals and broken people, and I decided then that I wanted to help them.
He first started a radio broadcasting station in the heart of Pollsmoor. By 2008, he had expanded into television training and production.
The broadcasts of the programs that we produce are, how can I say, even better than any other type of program, because it's programs for offenders by offenders. We're a seed planting organization. We go out and we try and impact offenders positively. So just the little seeds that we drop in whatever way, through our programs, through our training, that's what makes the difference.
And the brightest jewel in the PBN crown was Jailstar, the prison version of Idols. Not only did it showcase the vocal talents of Pollsmoor inmates, it broke down stereotypes between offenders and correctional officers who were now no longer adversaries, but colleagues.
That was almost like a benchmark sort of program, because it dealt with so many issues across the board in terms of correctional services, bringing offenders and correctional officers together.
Jailstar turned convicts into stars behind bars, crooners, shakers, movers and rappers, some with bite and some without.
So if there were a problem, you outside, we check out the hook while your DJ is performing. Ice, ice, baby. Dum, 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 dum. Ice, ice, baby.
If I see you in the next round without your teeth, strictly disqualified.
Yes.
You know?
You just see one set at the nothing.
They listen to you, but they sizing you up, and the big issue for any offender is, yeah, that's all right. You can say what you want to say, but are you going to come back?
Marius did not only return, he gave up a career in film and sound engineering to provide his services for free. And he used the media of radio and television as tools of creative rehabilitation. His vision also encompassed the development of a prison television station nationally to broadcast morally regenerative content to its captive audience.
We've proposed a national television station for correctional services that will basically link up all the TV networks, the current TV networks, and make them far more effective than they are at the moment, and really just enhance what correctional services have already done in trying to control what offenders watch and that sort of thing. But there has to be another element beyond just controlling what they watch, and that is to provide relevant and specifically tailor-made programs for offenders.
In 2011, Marius presented his proposal for a pilot TV station to Sonwabo Mbananga, the spokesperson for the Department of Correctional Services.
It was received very, very well. In fact, we were told that we just needed to have another meeting with the National Executive Committee, and we've been waiting for that meeting. That was supposed to happen in August 2011. We're now in September 2012. Surely it doesn't take a whole year to organize one meeting.
Then, in July 2011, without prior warning, PBN was put under lockdown.
Now, we thought we'd made a positive impact, but were we wrong? You'll get answers just after this.
In 2009, Special Assignment produced a program on PBN. The Department of Correctional Services welcomed our cameramen into an environment traditionally hostile to media exposure. We documented PBN's development from modest beginnings to a fully equipped radio and television facility in a prison, and we witnessed firsthand the power of television to transform lives. It seemed that Pollsmoor truly was making the transition from a place of punishment to a corrective facility of rehabilitation. Then it ended.
In July 2011, last year, we walked in, as we've been doing for the last 12 years, and walked in to train the offenders in Pollsmoor. And on our way out, the head of that section called us. Said she had received a call from the head of development and care of Pollsmoor, and he said that apparently we had to renew our service agreement in Pollsmoor, and that's all we heard, and we couldn't continue our services.
In 2007, PBN had signed a 5-year service agreement with Correctional Services, which was due to lapse in 2012.
The whole process dragged on for 6 months, and no one responded. We eventually asked the regional commissioner to intervene. That was in December 2011, because nothing had happened up to that point.
Then in December 2011, the formal termination. The reason given was that Pollsmoor was becoming a remand or awaiting trial centre, and PBN services would no longer be relevant.
I definitely challenged that. First of all, even in a 100% awaiting trial centre, you are still going to have sentenced offenders that do particular jobs around the prison. Furthermore, even if our services in television production weren't needed, we could have reverted back to our services in radio production, in music production. We could have moved from the adult male section to the female section to the juvenile section. Our main focus is not just to train offenders. That's just the small element of actually what our purpose is. Our purpose is to get them to produce great positive programs that are then broadcast to the greater prison community in order to make a difference to them.
Lockdown! In February this year, Special Assignment broadcast a program on the lockdown of PBN services. Our requests for an interview with Correctional Services had been met with silence. But literally a day later, Correctional Services spokesperson Sonwabo Mbananga contacted us with exciting news. He had been mandated to set up a meeting between PBN and Correctional Services to form a partnership which could include both the reinstatement of PBN services and the planning of a national prison television.
Look, a lot of input came from not just the insert by Special Assignment, but also ordinary members of the public and other offenders, ex-offenders in particular, who had been touched by programs that were rendered or offered by the Prisons Broadcasting Network at their time of their incarceration.
He was very excited about having been mandated by the National Commissioner to make all these things happen, including the rollout of all of our services in radio and television production to all prisons in the country. And we were very, very excited about it. That was in March 2012.
Correctional Services National Commissioner Tom Moyani was apparently also excited about the potential for the department to be able to broadcast in-house content from its own television footprint.
He has charted possible areas of cooperation between ourselves, and not just in terms of the skills development of offenders, but the creation of a broadcast platform that would allow the Department of Correctional Services for the first time to have a footprint in the public domain.
Certainly we are going to go all out to make a success of this project, and I think they're going to look really, really good, not only in the eyes of the South African public, but globally.
So the next step is for the PBN team to go up to Pretoria to meet with our leadership there.
When is this going to happen?
This is meant to happen as soon as possible. It's just the look at diaries of all those people that would be needed at such a meeting to be confirmed. And so we are talking in a matter of days, and possibly by within a fortnight.
But weeks have turned into months. It has been over a year since PBN was locked out of Pollsmoor while its equipment gathers dust inside.
If you take a look at just in this last year, what the last year has cost ourselves and our sponsors, what do we do about that?
How much?
Who's paying? At least 300,000 Rand, plus the loss of potential sponsors.
In June this year, the Minister of Correctional Services, Nosiviwe Mapisa Nqakula, was deployed to the Ministry of Defence, and a new minister, Sibusiso Ndebele, took over. A few months later, his spokesperson, Logan Maestri, contacted Bowden on behalf of the Commissioner.
I've been in contact with the National Commissioner a number of times, and I really felt that he was supportive of the project, of what we were doing. I felt like he wanted to get this thing going, but each time we've just ended in a sort of deadlock where, we're going to have this meeting, but no meeting develops.
We emailed the Commissioner to get an update, but he and the Minister were on a study tour to Brazil, Cuba and New York, and only returned 2 days before broadcast, after our interview deadline.
If a correctional service is serious about this notion of corrections being a societal responsibility, initiative such as PBN would be welcomed with open arms. An opportunity to use offenders to positively influence other offenders would be, where can you buy that kind of rehabilitation programs? You can't. The best rehabilitators, the best people to influence other offenders are ex-offenders or offenders themselves.
This is not a fight against correctional services. This is a fight for the right to provide offenders with employable skills.
The day before broadcast, the spokesperson for Minister Ndebele, Logan Maestri, contacted Special Assignment. He reiterated the department's commitment to rehabilitation and to meeting with PBN, but said that only after assessing all the information at the department's disposal, including PBN's service agreement, and submitting it to the Treasury in accordance with the Public Finances Management Act, would a decision be made regarding PBN's future. These were just 3 of the many stories where we tried to make an impact, to show that a healthy future for our youth depends on a secure family environment where children are nurtured, in safe communities where gangs and crime can't thrive, in a country that cares enough to offer those who've fallen through the cracks the chance to change their lives.
And in time, at a shape would it be? Grass over the sky. Because time is all you've got, and inside it can't fly.
Well, I'd like your take on this issue. Now, if you're tweeting, use the hashtag Special Assignment. But you can also Facebook or email us. And do join the follow-up discussion on my radio show on SAFM. That's at 2:30 p.m. on Friday. Now, last week we brought you a story on pregnant mothers who abuse tick and the impact on unborn children. I've picked out the following comments. Tsolofelo Kwele tweeted, "We need to help these young mothers fight their addiction and stay drug-free." While Talit Nuran emailed saying, "I am not a drug addict, but I do feel for these women and anyone addicted to drugs and alcohol. It's a long road, but there is help." Well, that's it from me. Join us again next week when we point out the issues that matter.